grew up in Somalia where we had a president who was very oppressive and dictatorship, as many of us who are from Africa do know that. And politics were really something that you can talk about at home, not outside, your home, because if you got caught talking about politics and something that is against the government, you are subject to be tortured or jailed or put in, sometimes killed. So my father did a coup in 1960 to take over the country, and he has been a target ever since that to the new government when Siad Barre took over the government in 1969. So we were always, in our tips and just making sure that we don't talk about politics outside the house. I remember my father taken away all the time because he might have talked about something that is against the government. So needless to say, I grew up understanding what politics is and how it works and how to manage that. I left in my country right before the Civil War in 1990, where when the government almost lost their fight with the rebels at the time. And it was really very, very hard for my family to make sure that I get out of the country before we got caught in this mess of taking people and putting them in jail, and at the end of the day, maybe some people getting killed. So I get out of the country in a secret way so that nobody knew that I was getting out. And I end up being in Italy, Rome, where me and 26 other people asked for asylum right in there in Rome airport, and I think that is Leonardo. I remember. Those of you might know that can correct me. So that airport, and I think at the time I was only 19 years old, and I had a 14-year-old boy that I was supposed to take care of, and 19 and a 14-year-old person. So we asked for asylum, and we ended up staying in that same airport for 8 weeks because the Italian government did not know what to do with folks who are asking for asylum. And they did understand that there is a war going on and war about to happen in Somalia at the time, but they did not, it did not fall in the political spectrum that Somalia is a state of a war yet. So they did not know what to do with us. So at the end of those 8 weeks, a lot of Somali community members were coming to the airport, bringing us food and money so that we can buy things. And imagine buying food in the airport, extremely, extremely expensive. And those folks really worked very hard to make sure the 25, 26 people who were there to be fed every single day. And that is also another political spectrum that you can think of as a 19-year-old, saying, oh my God, what am I doing here? I'm not with my mom, and I'm not with my family, I'm just alone right here, and also taking care of a 14-year-old person. I don't want to take all the time, but we end up going to London, I end up coming to Canada, and end up marrying my husband here in the United States. So I went to Atlanta, Georgia, where I had my 3 children. And the funny thing about that is I spoke English very well when I came to this country. But coming to Atlanta, Georgia, folks do speak differently. And it was really very difficult for me to understand the Southern accent. And my husband became my interpreter. And at that time, we had a lot of people coming from Somalia and the war-torn, in our country, and working in different places in the city of Atlanta. And I became advocating for them, becoming their interpreter, making sure that they've been treated right. And I always wanted to do more of my education. So my uncle moved here back in 2004. And he said, if you want to do more of your education that you always dream about, you can come to here. It's a really nice place. So I came to check it out here, and he lived at the time in Lewiston. So I went to Lewiston, and I was like, what is here? What is this place? It doesn't look like Atlanta. it looked like a ghost town, but it was really It was like a community place where you have a lot of lovely people live there. And I said, I really like this. And there is no traffic. That's the blessing. Those of you who have seen in Atlanta, it's just crazy, right? So I moved in there, and I work in different places. I work for the Catholic Charities of Maine. I became an interpreter. And finally, I got a job at the city of Portland. So the driving from Lewiston to Portland was really very long. And, there's snow, something that I did not get used to. So I said, I better move closer to work. So I moved to South Portland about 10 years ago. And I love that town. It's such a beautiful place. A lot of folks that are open-minded and really lovely people. And I just fell in love with the city, and I was like, wow, this is really a good place to raise kids and, live in. And I work to get out the vote, help immigrant folks to understand who their local government is, who their representatives are, who their city councilors are, and how to connect with folks if they have issues that they can call. It's okay to call. It's okay to email. A lot of our folks don't understand that and do not even know that. So I started, educating our people and telling them, yes, you can. We go all the way to Augusta to testify, and things that are some elective officials are putting out there and saying that immigrant this, immigrant that. We're just trying to say those are myths. Immigrants are trying to live here and contribute to the city and the state that we love. And at that point, I was really interested in doing politics, but did not know how. So my good friend Kathy said, oh, there is this great place called Emerge, Maine. I think you will do great. And I'm like, wow, okay, what is that? And then she said they really train Democratic women to become, politicians. And I said, oh, I'm interested in that. So I met this beautiful woman, Sarah, through my friend Kathy, and I said, sign me up. I end up being in that class, and amazing women who live all across this estate, places that I never heard of, And I was like, okay, I need to come there and just maybe be part of your community and help you out. So we had this a bond of love, sisterly, and that really put me in a place that I can make a change in my own community and do something different in my own city, in a local level where we can grow and make difference. But at the time, I didn't have any space to put my name in the hat and say, I'm running for this office. But I end up helping a couple of my other sisters run for their office. Victoria Morales, who ran for her state rep in my district. Kim Rich, who also ran for city councilor at the time in Portland. So we canvassed and knocked doors and put signs, and that gave me a little bit more energy to really have something to do, right? And 2 months ago, my city councilor in my district stepped down from his term of 3 years after he served only 8 months. And I found that a good opportunity to put my name in. And I stepped up and said, I have to do this. Hurry up. So right now, my election is a special one. It was not in the ballot on November 6th. It's going to be on the ballot for December 11. Anybody who lives in South Portland, woohoo, I'm going to give you a bomb card. I have it. So let's have some conversation going. Thank you so much.